All right, we are out here with Bristol. So Bristol's been having some trouble out on walks where she's like putting on the brakes, and we're having a hard time getting her to move at all. So it's a little hard to kind of conjure that when I'm on walks with her. I think it's kind of happening when she notices other dogs, people out on her walks. I came up with an idea to use this obstacle to potentially work through some leash pressure and getting her to yield to leash pressure. So the idea is that when Bristol's kind of pancaking out or putting on the brakes when we're in the middle of a walk, we want to be able to use pressure with the leash towards our body, like parallel to the ground. And we want to use the least amount possible. So I don't want to rely on the amount of force I'm physically using on the leash to get her to move with me, i.e., we don't want to be dragging her physically, right? That's not what we want to do. We want her to learn to yield to leash pressure, and we want to use the least amount possible to kind of communicate that she needs to change or fix something. Sometimes we can inadvertently reinforce that pancaking and learning to ignore pressure. So when we do this exercise, we want to make sure that we don't turn off the pressure for ignoring it, or if she were to even start to get squirrely. So I don't think that'll happen in her case, but sometimes with baby puppies, that which is typically what we're seeing this behavior with. You know, you get your very young dog out on a walk and they kind of pancake out. We just want to make sure that if we apply this pressure and they start going like, wah, and they're like alligator rolling or squirreling out, we don't release the pressure in that moment and accidentally reinforce, like acting squirrely makes the pressure come off and turns it off. And again, just to reinforce the idea that we don't want to use an uncomfortable amount of pressure. We just need to apply a slight amount. So the analogy that I like to use is leash pressure when we're using it to communicate should be, it could potentially be slightly annoying, right? It should be a little bit like akin to like your little brother in the back seat, kind of like, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, right? You feel it, you know it's there. It might even be a little bit annoying, but it's not hurting, and it's not like dramatically affecting your body in any way. So I set this up in the hopes that she might potentially kind of balk at wanting to move through this. The worst case scenario is that she's a rock star and she comes right through it. I'm going to try to do this without food if possible, but if she's really, really nervous about, the gates falling, hopefully the gates don't fall down, because that would be a little bit scary. But I don't want her to be like frightened, and I don't think that's necessarily happening when we're experiencing these, when her mom's experiencing this on walks. I don't think she's pancaking out because she's totally shut down from fear. If that were the case, this would be a different approach. We would want to really be doing some counter conditioning and stuff like that. But no, thank you, Cassian. In her case, I think she's just kind of like, for whatever reason, I think maybe she wants to observe the dog or the person coming up, or she wants to just kind of like be there in case she gets to greet or say hi. And so she doesn't want to like move on or move away from that scenario potentially. But either way, I don't think it's fear-based in that scenario, but this could potentially produce some fear. So I want to make sure that we're kind of watching that. Great. So I'm going to kind of start walking through here. I want to make sure she doesn't tip that over, because that would be scary. Perfect. So she's definitely like, hey, I don't want to go in there. So this is great. This is going to give us an opportunity to work through it. And like I said, I want to try not to use food. So what I'm going to do here, good. She's on a nice, hey, you cheated. Good girl. Nice job. Oh, you try so hard. This might not work. I can go back to the drawing board. And I want to make sure I get that leash out from underneath her foot. Perfect. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure here. So basically, and hopefully we can pick this up on the camera, because sometimes this can be a very subtle thing that I'm doing here. When I'm talking to her with this leash, pressure on means you need to change or fix something. Pressure off means you're correct. Right now she has a nice loose leash, so she's correct. So if I want to navigate and kind of insist that she walks through the, man, you're just so good. And through the middle of this thing, I was hoping I would have to like guide her into it. So I might even guide her back, a little pressure on. Good. Oh, she's doing fantastic with that, actually. Let's see. Oh, you're so great. Okay. So we might have to go back to the drawing board. Just so this session isn't completely trash. It wasn't trash in terms of she did really beautiful with that. That was cute to see. But I would probably recommend an equipment change just for while we're working through some of these issues with her. So I think typically she's in that leather leash and her flat buckle collar here, which is totally fine for most circumstances. In this case, where we're wanting to get her to learn to yield to that pressure, I would recommend a martingale collar or actually a slip leash. So this is a slip leash. I'm sure you've seen these in case they're unfamiliar or you haven't like actually checked out how this works. This goes up through the dog's head, and then this has like a safety feature that will let you put on. Hello. Oh, the heater clicked on. So that makes it so that it can't fall too far open. And so when pressure is, so like once we fit this would want to sit right on top, high and tight. So I would slip the catch right about there so that if this falls open, and that's as far open as it can fall and it can't like slide over her head. And as long as she's putting pressure on or we're putting pressure on, it's going to be tight around her neck and it's going to fall open when it's loose. So slip leashes make that a much more dramatic, more pronounced thing. So it's very clear, pressure on, pressure off, good. It's very clear when pressure is applied, you need to change or fix something, pressure's off, you're correct, it falls right open. Martingales do a similar thing as long as they're properly fitted. I think slip leashes have the advantage there where it's very easy to tell if it's fitted correctly or not. Martingales, they can kind of sometimes be loose, but I'll kind of show you. I feel like at some point she did have one, but I'm not, maybe not. Let's see. Perfect. Martingales typically come fabric or chain. So the leash hooks here. This one's fabric. This one's chain. I do like the chain ones a little bit because again, because of the heaviness of the chain, when pressure is taken off, it falls open a little bit more and it's heavy. Plus you have the added effect of like the click, 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 click as these chains get tight. That actually kind of adds another element to dogs being responsive to it because it becomes an auditory signal as well. Hey, Brist. Good girl. So anyway, to make sure this is fitted correctly, if you apply pressure with the leash and these 2 points here are close or touching, then it's too loose. You want there to be a nice gap in between there, even when this is tight. And that's kind of how you tell if a martingale is fitting correctly. So hopefully that's helpful. And then I guess we're going to go out and about to see what we can see. Otherwise, we might just have to do some meetup or something and see if we can produce it that way with mom present. So she's doing good. Good job, Bristy.